Ilia Topuria does it again. The guy is inevitable. Pantoja does it again. The guy is inevitable. And we have a new contender at flyweight. Peyton Talbot back in the win column. UFC 317. Some event. People, sit back, relax. Welcome to the live recap. Yes, lovely people. Hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel. Do smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. Look, I'm just going to tell you guys straight, just so you know I'm not lying as well. I'm on 6,999 subscribers for the Sanderson Show. If you haven't already and you're watching this, please do hit that sub button. I'd love it to get to 7K. Everyone knows my target is 10K by the end of the calendar year. I'd be over the moon if you could hit that subscribe button right now. Right, shout out to a couple people in here. Shout out to Joe A giving me more advice regarding hay fever and allergies. I'm going to definitely fly down to a local farm by me and try and get some local honey. Shout out to Clark Kent in the building. Shout out to Scraps as always. Shout out to Beans and Toast. Wow, I got stung twice in one sitting. No more hay fever for 8 years now. Okay, I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely happily do that. But yes, people. Ilia Topuria. He went in there. He vacated his 145-pound belt. He said, I'm going to go up to 55 and I'm going to win that belt. He originally was chasing Islam Makhachev because he wanted the pound-for-pound status. Makhachev has gone up to 170. Is awaiting a fight with Jack Della Maddalena. Shout out to Scant Sauna Raid. Big up yourself. And he said he's going to win. He said, no disrespect to Charles, I'm going to beat him. I'm going to knock him out in the first round. And what did Ilia do? He went in there and he knocked out Charles in the first round and made it look easy. So easy, it made it look as though Charles didn't even deserve to be in there with him. And we talk about Charles, who is considered top 5 lightweight of all time, maybe. And he made it look easy. Real easy. Shout out to Pavan as well. God bless yourself as well, brother. Oh, hold on. We're 7K, people. We're 7K. We're 7K. Big up everyone, man. Big up Scraps. 7K indeed. Big up yourself, Gene. Big up yourself again, Clark. Big up Salim as well. Salim's asked, Cal, his win yesterday perfectly explains why boxing is better in a street fight. What do you think, brother? It's very hard to say. Firstly, I don't want to encourage anyone to get in a street fight. Try and avoid street fights if you can. But it's difficult to say. Arguably say Muay Thai is probably the best thing to use in a street fight, or Jiu-Jitsu. The reason I say boxing isn't always the best thing is because you can break your hand. These guys are, let's not forget, these guys are fighting with gloves on. So even though you can still break your hand with gloves on, there is still padding there. Your wrists are also padded up. In a street fight, you'd presume your wrists and your hands aren't padded. You can easily break your hand if you hit someone on the forehead or the top of the head. But again, you've also got to think, is this if it's a one-on-one street fight and you can use jiu-jitsu or even leg kicks, that's probably the best way of dealing with a situation. If it's more than one person, then you're going to have to probably throw a hand to try and get rid of people as quickly as possible. We're trying to knock people out. But again, don't want to encourage street fighting. Want everyone to be safe. And but I would also recommend everyone does some form of martial arts training just for discipline, for fitness, and also for self-defense as well. A couple of you guys are saying congrats for the 7K subs. thank you. Forget about congratulations to me. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. Like, it means a lot to me. Shout out to Jamie and Luke, because without them on the watch-alongs and the combat catch-up shows, we wouldn't be in this position either. So big up to Jamie, big up to Luke. This 7K is special for me. And as I said, I'm trying to get to 10K by the end of the year. So big up to each and every one of you who subscribed. And I hope to continue to bring you more content and even better content going forward, and more frequent content as well. Back to Ilia Topuria. He becomes the 10th male fighter to become a 2-weight world champion, picking up belts at 145 and 155. He's on a 3 knockout streak at the moment. First, he KO'd Volkanovski, then KO'd Max Holloway, and then KO'd Charles Oliveira. Is there a better 3-fight win streak than that? Not just a knockout streak. Is there a better 3-fight win streak than that? Because I don't know if there is. You look at his legacy so far. So many people are comparing him to Conor McGregor. They both became double champions by the age of 28. Both did it at 45. Both did it at 55. Both did it by KO victories. The only difference is McGregor was obviously not undefeated, whereas Ilia is. And also McGregor lost to Nate Diaz in the UFC in between winning the 45 and 55-pound belt. Topuria, his legacy is already set in stone. He is already a Hall of Famer now. And he's just getting started, in my opinion. And you look at his aura as well. You look at his family, man. He turns up to the stadium or the arena with his wife, his child, who can hit pads at an insanely powerful rate at the age of 9 or something like that. I have to rate it. I have to rate it, man. He is phenomenal. Shout out to Scans. A bit shameless he held up the 2 belts when he gave it up. I hear that, but technically he still is the lineal featherweight champion. Not just that. Look, everyone knows Max is my guy. He's kind of the BMF champion as well, if we're going to really say it. If we're going to really put it out there, he's kind of the BMF champion as well. He knocked out Max. He met Max in the middle. At the beginning of that fight with Max, remember, he walked out to the middle and said, let's have it. Let's swing now. And Max said no. Who has Max said no to? When someone offered him out, who's Max said no to? Remember, in the second fight against Poirier, and obviously Max is fighting Poirier next month, but in the second fight against Poirier, Poirier got up with his stool early and said, Max, let's meet in the middle. And Max said, yeah, let's do it. Topuria, in the first second of the first round, said, let's meet in the middle, and Max said no. Not because Max is an idiot, not because Max is a coward, but it's because he knows Topuria is that guy. And Topuria can catch him. And obviously, Topuria did get to him in the end. Topuria, for me, is the next potential superstar in the UFC. If he is not given the recognition he deserves, then, geez, I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know. And I know he had the face-off with Paddy Pimblett. I know he had all the commotion there and all that as well. For me, personally, I don't think Paddy deserves a fight yet. But it looks like that might be the route they go down. I know Dana wasn't too happy that Paddy was in there, but I mean, we see also Dana wasn't too happy about Conor McGregor smashing up the buses, but that was used in the promo between him and Khabib as well. So Dana says one thing and acts in a different way. So we'll see. I reckon Paddy probably will get the next fight, even though that's not a fight I would make. But what I'm going to do tomorrow, guys, I'm going to do a live stream breaking down every fight that should be made after UFC 317 as well. I also want to speak about Ilia Topuria's technique. A lot of people said, look, if he knocks Charles down or it gets to the ground, it could be close there. It wasn't close. Charles tried to take him down. Ilia reversed it using great hip movement. And he passed Charles's control and crucified him, put him in a crucifix position in very, very quick time. Now, granted, Charles did get out of it and got him in a half of a leg lock. But once again, Ilia just once again shows why he's such a well-rounded fighter. Still hasn't thrown a body kick, still hasn't thrown a head kick. Took a couple of leg kicks, but his composure is what is so special, and his eye for seeing an opportunity. His technique is flawless, and his timing is fantastic. And I know everyone speaks about his power, and obviously you have to have power if you're going to knock people out. I don't just think it's his power, though. It's his accuracy is scary, man. He's hitting people on the button. He's not hitting cheekbones and temples. He's hitting chins. And McGregor said it best. Timing beats speed. Precision beats power. And Ilia is the perfect example of this. His timing is flawless and his precision is immaculate. And look, the pound for pound list at the moment is probably the most competitive it's been. When you look at him, you look at Marab, you look at Pantoja, you look at Makachev. The pound for pound list is so incredible at the moment. But he right there has put a case forward to saying he's number one. He really has put a case forward. And look, probably later on in the week, I'll do another show speaking about the pound for pound list. And I'll actually give you my pound for pound list for male and female fighters. But man, Ilia is a special talent, man. To do that to Charles and make it look so easy, you have to be a special fighter, and he absolutely is. And I can't wait to see him fight again. I look forward to Ilia fighting. I look forward to Ilia fight weeks. I look forward to his press conferences, his face-offs, his media workouts, his media days. I look forward to everything. He is such a superstar. He does everything the right way. And dare I say, he's got a blueprint there from Conor McGregor to follow. Don't make the same mistakes. Conor started to believe in his own hype, started to do the partying and all that. If Ilia stays away from that and he stays focused and dedicated, he's going to be unstoppable. He's a phenomenal fighter. And look, it's an honor to watch his fights. It literally is an honor to watch his fights. And he's going to continue. If he continues like this, he's going to put himself in conversations. He's already started to put himself in the Khabib conversation. I have my own thoughts on the whole Khabib and all that situation. Everyone knows Khabib isn't my GOAT. I think Khabib was a fantastic fighter, obviously. Anyone with eyes can tell you that, but he's not my GOAT. But I also don't think Topuria can be put in GOAT conversations yet either. I think Topuria's got a lot of work to do to be in GOAT conversations. But as of right now, special fighter, man. Special fighter. Want to move on to the co-main event, and that was Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. And going into this, most people assume that Pantoja would get the win, and he'd have to do it by controlling the narrative of the fight and keeping it on the ground. However, Kai Kara-France, who definitely has more power than Pantoja, was seen as the person, if it stays standing, could have a chance of winning. Pantoja is an absolute animal. And I say that with the greatest respect, and that's a compliment. He is an animal. Me, Jamie were watching it while Luke was walking the dog. And we were sitting there going, the guy's a maniac. He just walked across the cage and he just said, we're having a fight. There was no feeling out process. There was no range finding. It was, I'm going to close distance early and I'm going to beat you up and show you that I'm a level above. And Kai Kara-France is a hell of a fighter, by the way. He's a fantastic fighter in his own right. He got made to look really average out there. Pantoja got the win via a third round submission, I believe it was. Put him to sleep, kicked him off him when he was sleeping. There was no point in that fight where Pantoja looked unsteady, worried, fragile, anything. He was winning the exchanges on the feet, dominating on the ground, and got a very, very routine win by the end of it. Pantoja is him. Like, Pantoja is him. A phenomenal fighter. And one of the most the most disrespected champion on the UFC roster right now. How he is at 9 for pound list when he's got like 5 title defenses, I believe, and he's on an 8-fight win streak is beyond me. And that flyweight division is no joke. If anything, the one fight I'd want to see him fight at flyweight that he hasn't fought, or he has fought but didn't win, would be probably Figueiredo again. But Figueiredo's never going back down to 125. Never going back down to 125. But goodness me, Pantoja's special. Just spoke about Ilia and spoke about Ilia in glowing terms. Everything I said about Ilia, I've got to say about Pantoja. Now, grant he's not undefeated and all this, yada, yada, yada. Name me someone who beats Pantoja right now, because I can't think of anyone. Can't think of a soul who beats Pantoja at 125. So much so, we're clamoring for him to go up to 135. And what a fight that would be. Pantoja versus Merab. Oh, sign me up. Sign me up. That would be a phenomenal fight. But I think they've both got a little bit more work to do in their respective divisions before we speak about that. Even though I'd love to see that tomorrow if that was to be made. Pantoja really is showing why he is a level ahead of these other flyweights. And he's beating them with ease. And I'm going to go through your rankings real quick and just explain just what Pantoja is doing. Pantoja is obviously champion. Number one is Brandon Royval, who's beaten twice. Brandon Moreno is beaten. Al-Bazzi hasn't fought yet. That might be the next person. Kai Car France beaten. Tatsu Taira hasn't fought him yet, but he needs a win. Manel Cap, he needs a win. Beaten Steve Erceg. Who's there for him? We know who his next fight is going to be, but even that. And look, we're going to speak about his fight in a minute. Joshua Van looked fantastic against Royval. Even that, I don't see who beats him. I really don't. It'll be a fun fight. I don't see who beats Pantoja. And obviously now I've got to touch on to Joshua Van. 3 weeks ago, Joshua Van had a fight and was brilliant. Had a great stoppage win. Put himself number 12 in the division. Then the opportunity to fight Brandon Royval happens after Manel Cap gets injured. And you're going, wow, fair enough. The ball's on the 23-year-old kid to step in and take this fight when Brandon Royval has been a fixture at the top of that division for such a long time is commendable. But it's maybe a step too soon. How wrong were we? Firstly, my fight of the year so far. Jamal Hill and Yuri Prochazka, great fight. But my fight of the year so far. What a fight. But then you look at the damage he took in that fight and the fact that he didn't take a backward step, almost got the finish at the end of the fight, and he's fighting Brandon Royval on 3 weeks' notice. Firstly, shout out to Brandon Royval for giving an opportunity to Joshua Van and staying on the card and keeping his fight going. Because Brandon Royval could have easily turned around and said, look, I'm not taking a fight against number 12. It doesn't benefit me. But Brandon Royval is a warrior, a fighter's fighter. And one of the reasons why we all love him is because of what he did yesterday, taking that fight and putting on such a fantastic fight. But Joshua Van could represent the future of this division. Now, again, I know I just spoke about Pantoja. I still don't know if he beats Pantoja. I don't think he does. But he's the future of this division, potentially. And dare I say, we needed some fresh blood in this division. I've just told you how Pantoja's been clearing everyone out. Hasn't fought Joshua Van yet. Hasn't cleared out Joshua Van. So you've got another fight there for Pantoja. And this is what champions need. This is what champions of the caliber of Pantoja and Topuria and Makachev and Merab need. They need constant competition. They need that next person to come through. And thankfully, yesterday we got that with Joshua Van. Fantastic. Wow, Ryan, cow curse just straight off the bat. Cow curse is dead, bro. Joe A says Joshua Van was brilliant for real. Absolutely was. So was Brandon Royval as well, though. It takes two to have a fight like that. John. Joe A says Pantoja is dread. Van was good, but Van needs more grappling and wrestling. Agreed. We haven't even seen him use his wrestling. Ash says, I think Joshua Van should be fast-tracked, eliminate at next fight. I think he's got to have the fight straight away. Shout out to Salim. Who do you think wins Eubank Ben 2 confirmed in December? I think Eubank wins. I think the terms of the fight will now be more favorable for Eubank, and I think he'll win. And I think he'll stop Conor Ben second time round. I think he'll know what to expect more now. Interesting fight. I'll probably chop that up with Luke at some point this week. May even chop that up with another special guest as well, hopefully, if they're available. Stay tuned for that. But no, fantastic win for Joshua Van. And look, can't wait to see that fight with him and Pantoja. Going to be a quality fight. All right, on to the third fight of the night. And that, onto the second fight of the night. And that was Benil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Money, Moicano. Moicano wants money. I don't know. I wasn't feeling this fight, guys. I like both fighters. Jamie definitely wasn't happy at this fight. I wasn't feeling the fight. I wasn't happy that the fight was made for a pay-per-view. I think this would have been a perfect fight for a prelim main event. Both fighters, you can tell, are out of their prime. Both a bit sluggish. I think the result was fair. I think it could have gone either way, but I think the result was fair. I wasn't feeling the fight, guys, man. I get you don't want to put your older fighters and your older competitors against the fresh up and coming fighters all the time, because you don't want to just get battered all the time. I wasn't feeling the fight, man. I was a little underwhelmed by the fight. Good win for Dariush, puts him back in the win column after a couple of tough defeats and injuries. But yeah, I wasn't feeling the fight. I hope they both bounce back. Obviously, Dariush, it'll be interesting to see who he gets next. I don't see him fighting anyone above him in the rankings. Maybe someone like a Rafael Fiziev, who, even though he's low ranked but has a big name, that could be a favorable fight. Moicano, I don't know what next for him, if I'm going to be honest. I think Joe said a decent fight. I don't know, Joe, man. I wasn't feeling the fight, bro. I just wasn't feeling it, man. Wasn't feeling it. Both definitely out of their prime. In their prime, I think it would have been a very good fight. Out of their prime, wasn't really feeling it. And it seemed like both men took a lot of damage when you don't really like to see that either. Shout out to Joe A for the super chat, says he didn't move his head off the line. So many areas to improve. He could be amazing. Van versus Pantoja next 100. Yeah, I mean, what I will say to that though is Brandon Royval's jab is money. And when he throws his jab out, it's one of the best jabs in MMA from both stances. So I don't necessarily know if he wasn't moving his head off the center line, as opposed to Brandon Royval was creating angles for the jab and flicking out the jab so quickly that he couldn't move his head off the center line. Pantoja hasn't got a jab as good as Brandon Royval, even though Pantoja's a better fighter, obviously. He hasn't got a good jab. So it'd be interesting to see how he deals with that with Pantoja and obviously the grappling and just the power and technique of Pantoja. Onto the fight that opened the card, and that was Peyton Talbot versus Lima. Again, Peyton Talbot, off the back of his first loss, needed a win against a game opponent, Felipe Lima, and he got that. Again, it didn't look like vintage Talbot, who was knocking out people and starching people and just making it look effortless. He looks human now. And as he progresses in the rankings, he's going to look more and more human. But I think you could see there were nerves there. I think you could see there was a little bit of hesitancy after how he fought in his last fight and how he got beaten. I think for that reason, we saw a very reserved Peyton Talbot. And I think as he builds up his confidence again, then maybe we start seeing the Peyton Talbot that was the fan favorite and the exciting version of himself. But nonetheless, it was a decent fight. Good exchanges, good striking, good grappling in that fight. And yeah, good win for Peyton Talbot. Very interesting to see what he does next and how the UCA continues to manage his career. Got to speak about Gregory Rodriguez, man. And in fact, we'll speak about all of them, actually. Gregory Rodriguez absolutely starched Jack Hermansson. The Joker was just out cold. I think this should have been on the main card. I don't know why it wasn't. Two ranked fighters at 185 pounds. Should have 100% been on the main card. But it wasn't. Should have been. And Gregory Rodriguez, again, is showing us how devastating a striker he is. Delgado gets the TKO win over Amil as well. Again, another good finish for Delgado. Tracy Cortez versus Araujo. I thought Araujo was going to win this fight, but Tracy Cortez did a fantastic job. Got a unanimous decision and well-deserved. And McKinney, again, such an exciting fighter. McKinney's fights are either going to be he gets hurt and finished, or he hurts someone and finishes them. Today, or yesterday, should I say, he hurt someone, he finished that person in round one. Again, McKinney, you cannot make yourself a cup of tea in a McKinney fight. You just can't. Jacoby Smith stays undefeated, beating Nico Price with a submission. And Denise actually beats Alvin Hines in a unanimous decision, leaving Alvin Hines with his first defeat as a professional as well. All in all, UFC 317 was a good card. It was. I think the last three fights on the card saved the main card. I thought the first two were a little lackluster. The first fight was decent. Second fight, I didn't think was great. The Royval and Joshua Van fight, for me, is fight of the year so far. Pantoja versus Kai Kara France was a fantastic performance by Pantoja, and then the knockout victory by Ilia to seal the night. was sensational. So if I'm going to give it a score out of 10, I'd probably give UFC 317 a 7 out of 10 for the card. And I'm looking forward to the next few events. People, if you haven't already, do smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Once again, a massive shout out to you all. Managed to break the 7K barrier today with your help. And now on the road to 8,000 subs. Thank you all for watching and listening and subscribing. Make sure you smash that like button, leave your comments. Until we see you again, people. Stay safe, stay blessed. My name is Callum, and I'm out, people. Take care.